Breastfeeding your baby in public. If you have no problem nursing in public and can't understand why other people do, and just think it's crazy to even worry about this, then you probably won't really enjoy this video. You just think that it's not a big deal, and why are we making it into a big deal? I'm Isenstadt, lactation consultant, host of the All About Breastfeeding podcast, and owner of the best breastfeeding class you will ever need. As a mom who breastfed 3 babies into toddlerhood, I actually agree with you as far as it's just not that big of a deal. But it's easy for me to think that because I now have many years of breastfeeding in public under my belt. I spend my days with moms and babies who are breastfeeding, so it's totally the norm. But this show is not about me or others who think it's a big deal. It's about moms who are trying to figure it all out. And it's not helpful when we express our concerns and others just pat us on the back and just poo-poo our concerns. Mothers need to surround themselves with people who care enough to listen to their concerns and offer help. This video is for all of you who have legitimate worries and need answers. This is a hot topic, particularly with pregnant and new moms. So let's get started. Not sure how most of you feel about breastfeeding in public. For many of us, our opinions change depending upon how we felt before we were pregnant, when we were pregnant, and now that we're breastfeeding a baby. There are people who think that we should all be alike, think alike, look alike, and they want us to do whatever it is they feel that we should do. There are breastfeeding moms who they know how breastfeeding works. They know the score, but they just don't like seeing it in public. They're uncomfortable with it all. There are breastfeeding advocates who stand by the fact that people can nurse in public, but they think that it's an act of indecent exposure. That's fine. They're allowed their opinion just as we are. I believe that with just a few tips and some compromising, we can all be happy. So what can you do to help make this a wonderful experience for you, your baby, and your family members? If you're concerned about respecting other people's feelings and yet still ensure that your baby's needs are met, what can you do? Well, for yourself, close family members, and friends who you will be spending time with, I say education, education, education. What do you find happens when you have a strong opinion about something and then someone points out to you that you really don't know much about it? Can you think of a subject that you recently learned more about? And it surprised you how much more knowledge and how that led you to having a different opinion and perhaps being a bit more open-minded than you had been. You educate yourself and you now have a greater understanding, which leads you to be more open-minded, which leads you to less judgment, empathy, and sometimes even wanting to know more. In the world of the breastfeeding family, in general, I find that people will understand you better when they know the who, what, why, when, and where of the breastfeeding mother. How do we make this happen? It will be most helpful if you take the time to explain to others, and do this at a different time that you're breastfeeding your baby. You need to explain to them what you need for them to know about the breastfeeding baby and why it's important for you to be able to leave your home and know that when you go to breastfeed your baby, that you're understood, welcomed, and made to feel comfortable. Now that you have others feeling comfortable about nursing in public, I want to be sure that you're feeling comfortable and confident so you can enjoy yourself too. So my first tip for you, easy does it. Recognize the fact that you will be at home resting and recovering from a pregnancy and birth, which takes a lot out of us, both physically and emotionally. Unless you or your baby have big medical issues, you will not need to have frequent appointments on the outside. This reduces the amount of times you will need to breastfeed in public. We tend to think we will be jumping right back into our usual lifestyle within days of giving birth. Hopefully, this is not the case for you. My second tip, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Understand that breastfeeding is a learned art. It takes time, patience, practice, and commitment. Knowing that breastfeeding at home will take time to feel comfortable and confident. Once you accept this fact, this should take off some of the pressure you have about needing to breastfeed in public. My third tip, prepare for the unknown. In the event you find yourself needing to breastfeed your baby in a public place before you are really ready to do so, don't worry. You will prepare for it by knowing you can do anything just once. Things don't have to be perfect. You just need to feed your baby and it will be okay. Take a look around the space that you're in. Can you find a quiet space that does not face the room? In a restaurant, find a table or a booth that is away from much of the other tables and foot traffic. Like, don't choose a table by the bathroom or the entrance. Sit yourself down, and if you're concerned with people watching, is there a wall that you can turn to that will limit gawkers? Can you put your diaper bag or a package on the table in front of you that will provide some coverage? If you have another person with you, put them in a position where they can shield you. Do you have a baby's blanket you can throw over your shoulder? If not before you latch your baby on, but maybe you could put the blanket on once your baby's latched on. If you're in the mall, what store is closest to you that sells clothes and has dressing rooms? Even Victoria's Secrets has a dressing room you can go into. All you need to do is just take an item or two off the shelf and go into the dressing room. Doesn't matter if it's not the right size. You don't need to make an announcement to anybody what you're doing. Just do it. In a medical office, ask the front desk person if there's a private place where you can breastfeed. If not, look around and find a chair the furthest away from people. If possible, turn your chair to the wall. Don't be bothered about what people might think about you turning your chair to the wall. Who cares? You have a baby to feed. If you're at a friend's house, you know what? I'm amazed at how many moms tell me that they didn't want to ask if they could go into another room to feed their baby. Some felt embarrassed to ask, as if they should be comfortable in front of others. Some just felt like it was rude to ask. Again, who cares? You just have a baby to feed. Just because you're in a place that is deemed breastfeeding friendly doesn't mean that you're comfortable nursing in public. Don't feel pressured by peers. Ask for what you need. Here are some of my list of practical tips. My favorite one to tell you is practice, practice, practice. In the privacy of your own home, you can practice for what it will be like outside your home. Sit on a chair in front of a tall mirror and just breastfeed. No pillows or stools or covers. Look in the mirror and see what someone else sees. You might realize right then and there that your fears are unfounded. No one can see anything. Or perhaps there's a minute or two of you futzing, just trying to get your baby to latch on. But even still, realize you just can't see that much. But what if you do see, when practicing, that you do need more coverage? Start with something simple and easy to take with you. Always have a blanket with you when you leave the house. Practice latching your baby on and bring the blanket over your shoulder. Does this work? Is your baby okay with it? Just practice at home with what you have. This way, when that unexpected day comes, you're prepared and it will be okay. It will be good enough. You just have to feed your baby this once. Perhaps you can look into nursing clothes that will help make this easy and quick. There are some really cool tops that will help make this easy for you. You can shop for clothes on your own, but there's nothing better than asking a few other nursing moms what clothes they like the best and why they like it. Also, find out what their feelings are about nursing in public. If they have a total, I don't care what anyone thinks and I don't care what I show attitude, well, they will probably choose clothes that reflect this. If they are an active mom working and outside the home a lot, but are personally kind of shy about anyone seeing some skin, they will choose clothes that reflect these feelings. If you are wanting good coverage of your breast and tummy, you will choose clothes that provide this. Layering helps, so you can wear a nursing tank with a t-shirt, sweater, or button-down shirt, which will provide great coverage when nursing. If this is not important to you, you may not even need any specific nursing clothes, just a comfortable bra that snaps and unsnaps easily. You can lift up your shirt and latch your baby on, or you can unsnap the bra portion of a nursing tank and be good to go. If you don't want any skin showing at all, you will want to use a nursing cover or blanket that will ensure no one sees any skin during the latching on process. There was a lack of nursing clothes for me, so I purchased several t-shirts a size too large, and I wore these a lot. I know nursing clothes can be expensive, so perhaps you can buy just one. Be sure that you like it, and then buy more of the same. Perhaps you just invest in one or two items, and let this be the one you wear when you go out in the early days of nursing. My next most favorite tip: baby carriers, wraps, and slings. I am a huge advocate for wearing your baby from day one. Walk around the house in the baby wrap, and when your baby is ready to feed, don't take it off. Try and practice with it on. You can get really good at this, and when you do, it totally takes off any feelings of anxiety about nursing in public because you and your baby have already become really good at nursing with a wrap. These practical tips are for moms who feel they want some privacy for themselves and not to show too much skin. Or perhaps your baby needs privacy. You're okay with it, but your baby needs privacy because they react to all sorts of sounds and lights around them. Maybe you actually don't care who might see you nursing in public, but you still feel the need to cover up for friends or family members who are uncomfortable with you nursing in public. I hope these tips are helpful for you. I wish that everyone would be totally cool about moms breastfeeding in public places, because I feel that the more the public sees this, the more used to it they become. Just think if every day you saw nursing mothers feeding their babies in 5 different places that you went today. And after a month of seeing mothers breastfeeding their babies in many places that you go to each day, it slowly weaves into the fabric of your everyday life. And 6 months later, after having seen 20 mothers breastfeeding their babies in public every single week, soon you just don't think much more about it. It does not help much to preach to the choir. We need people who are not breastfeeding, seeing other mothers breastfeeding all over town. Please don't let the worries of breastfeeding in public stop you from experimenting. While I respect your right for privacy and understand if you don't want to nurse in public, I encourage you to at least practice in your own home in the event the need should arise to breastfeed your baby in public. I also encourage you to just give it a try and see how it goes. The reason I feel the need to encourage you to do so is because once you get past the early days, it's not healthy for you to be staying home all the time. I really want you to be able to get out, be active, hang out with friends, go to the park and the malls and for walks and the bookstore with your baby. Mothers who don't nurse in public tend to be mothers who don't breastfeed as long as they really wanted to because they feel isolated, alone, they feel tied down. And that is not the life I wish for you as a breastfeeding mother. There is a wonderful world out there I want you to enjoy.
This is Lori Jill Isenstadt saying thank you for watching today's show. And if you like the show and want to make sure you don't miss another one, just press that subscribe button below. And also, anybody who knows me knows that my mantra is, don't let All About Breastfeeding be your best kept secret. Please like the button below and share this show with every pregnant and new mother that you know that may be interested in anything related to breastfeeding. You can also go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz, and there you will find lots more information about myself, the services that I provide, and you will also get the whole library, all free, of all the shows, the 120 guests that I've interviewed about all subjects related to breastfeeding. That's at allaboutbreastfeeding.biz. And the last thing is my gift to you. If you go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz/7secrets, you will get my handout on the 7 secrets to breast pumping. See you on the next show.